kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ wà nílé tẹ́ ń wò mí. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ wà nílé tẹ́ ń wò mí. Mo kí lọ́kùnrin bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí lóbìnrin. Mo kí ọmọdé, mo kí àgbàlagbà. Mo kó nílé àtàlejò gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ Nàìjíríà tẹ́ ń wò mí káàkiri ayé, gbogbo yín ni mo kí o. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń kí mi, mo kújọ́ mẹ́ta, ẹ má bínú. Iṣẹ́ ló sọmọ nù bí òkò, ẹ ò kúkú ní bínú. Fún security ara mi, ó lẹ ṣe rí mi lórí Facebook látijọ́ yìí. Mo kúkú ń ṣe fídíò sórí YouTube, but for my own security sake, ó jẹ́ kí n máa sá lórí Facebook because then they were monitoring us very seriously. But lágbára Ọlọ́run, nǹkan ti wálẹ̀ nsìn. Gbogbo hit yẹn Ọlọ́run ti ṣe wọ́n ti ń wálẹ̀. So mo lè appear dáadáa lórí Facebook nsìn. And I promise that as from today, by God's grace, you will be seeing me often and often lórí Facebook tí àjọ máa fọ̀rọ̀ jómi torí ọ̀rọ̀. Oríṣiríṣi ló ti lọ. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń tẹ̀lé mi ní orí YouTube, gbogbo yín ni mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀. Mo mọ̀ pé gbogbo yín náà ni ẹ nífẹ̀ẹ́ mi lẹ sì ń wo gbogbo àwọn informations tí mò ń mú síta. Òun ló ṣe jẹ́ pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ kàn ń wò mí lórí Facebook nìkan. Tẹ́ ẹ dẹ̀ tún rí tẹ́ ẹ dẹ̀ tún ní Facebook ní YouTube lọ́wọ́. Kí ló dé tẹ́ ẹ tẹ̀lé mi lórí YouTube náà? Kájọ máa kọ́ ọmọ lùbọ́. Nígbà míì tí n bá lè wá ṣe live, tó bá já àyè tí mo wà, àyè kí n rìkọ́ọ̀dù kí n edit ni. Ẹ lè máa wò mí gbogbo ìgbà, kò ní jẹ́gbà kan wà tí ẹ ò ní rí mi wò. Mo tún fi àsìkò yìí, mo tún fi bẹ̀bẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀yin fans mi tí ẹ ò rí mi lórí Facebook látijọ́ yìí. Kọ́ọ̀lù yẹn pọ̀. Bàbá àríyín, bàbá àgbọ́yín, ẹ má bínú. Àwọn tí wọ́n ń tẹ̀lé mi lórí YouTube, gbogbo wọn ni wọ́n rí mi wò. YouTube channel wa, gbogbo yín náà lẹ ti mọ̀ pé ní agbára Ọlọ́run, a ti kúrò lórí channel Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. Wọ́n ti hack channel yẹn, a ti kúrò ńbẹ̀. Ìdí tá dẹ̀ fi kó gbogbo àná la gbọ́ pé wọ́n hack ẹ̀ ni. Because the channel has been hacked, I have moved from there to another channel. Initially mo sọ channel yẹn ní Bàbá Gbàgede Life. But nítorí pé èmi náà láwọn tí wọ́n direct mi, I was told authoritatively by my God wípé Bàbá Gbàgede Life má lò, yí orúkọ yẹn padà sí Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV. Mo fi Ọlọ́run tó dá mi búra, mo lálàá yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ wípé Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV. So Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV yẹn ó ní mo yí orúkọ yẹn sí. The same station, the same channel, Bàbá Gbàgede Life náà ni. Mo kàn yí orúkọ yẹn padà sí Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV. In which tẹ́ bá lọ sórí YouTube, tẹ́ bá search fún Bàbá Gbàgede Life, ẹ rí wò, á gbé yín lọ bẹ̀. Tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ TV náà lẹ lọ, ẹ rí wò. So it's either of the two, the same channel, the same station. Orúkọ yẹn, Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ yẹn ò gbọ́dọ̀ kú òun orúkọ mi. According to instruction, the whole world know me as Bàbá Gbàgede or Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. So you can still be calling me Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. You can still be calling my channel Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. We are now officially Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. Ìyẹn new channel. Tàbá rẹ̀ ẹnikẹ́ni tó sì dúró sí Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ channel tó fọkàn sí wípé mo sì máa post síbẹ̀ ǹjọ́ kan, irọ́ ni o. Torí pé lágbára Ọlọ́run officially by the end of this August, iye ẹni tó tẹ̀lé mi lórí channel Bàbá Gbàgede Life àbí Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ nìkan náà ni followers mi. Torí mo máa delete Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ channel, máa delete ẹ̀ pátápátá by August ending. Máa delete ẹ̀ pátápátá kúrò lórí YouTube by August ending. Ìwọ tó bá mọ̀ pé o nífẹ̀ẹ́ mi o sì fẹ́ máa wò mí, ó better kó lọ subscribe sí Bàbá Gbàgede Life nísìn or Bàbá Gbàgede Ìmọ̀. Kò sí ìtẹ́ ẹ pè tí ò dá, the same channel, the same station ni. Mi change ẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n Gbàgede Ìmọ̀ yẹn ẹ kú òǹbẹ̀, ẹ má subscribe síbẹ̀ mọ́. Mi ò lò bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ rárá, lágbára Ọlọ́run mi ò lò mọ́. Kódà mi post síbẹ̀ mọ́ gan. Ó ti ń fẹ́ tóṣù kan sìn, mi post síbẹ̀ mọ́. Bákan náà ni pé arákùnrin kan wà ó máa ń gbé iṣẹ́ mi always tí bá ti record ó máa ń ṣọ́ mi ni tí bá ti record bá ó máa gbé. Mo ti take legal action lé lórí. I have started the proceedings. Wọ́n pe orúkọ ẹ̀ ní Special Omanze àtàwọn ẹgbẹ́ mi. Ẹ má worry. Mi ní kẹ́ bá mi report, ẹ má report ẹ̀ mọ́. Tẹ́ bá tá ti rí, ẹ má report ẹ̀ mọ́. Mo ti gbé ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ kí n gbé lé orí Special Omanze. Mo ṣàdúrà pé fídíò tí mo ṣe lọ́wọ́ yìí kó edit ẹ̀ bó ṣe máa edit ẹ̀ kó lọ ṣe sínú page ẹ̀ kó wá dàbí ìpohùn gan ló ń ṣe iṣẹ́ yìí lórí page. Mo ti gbé ìgbésẹ̀ lé lórí láìpẹ́ yìí wọ́n kan lára lágbára Ọlọ́run. Tó in tí mo mú wá lénìí in tó ba èmi nínú jẹ́ ni. Ó lè dùn mọ́ wọ kan nínú o tó jẹ́ inú ẹ̀ ń dùn pé wọ́n gbé àwọn ọmọlẹ́yìn Ìgbòho. Àmọ́ èmi ó ba èmi nínú jẹ́. Ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà mo mọ̀ pa báyìí nínú jẹ́. Kí ni nǹkan náà ni pé tẹ́ bá gbàgbé nínú August yìí wọ́n grant gbogbo àwọn 12 tí wọ́n gbé nílé Ìgbòho wọ́n grant wọn ní bail. High Court ní Abuja ó grant wọn ní bail. But in the process tí bail condition yẹn ó jẹ́ bail condition tó le. Initially láti ilẹ̀ náà granting them bail is even wrong. Láti ilẹ̀ wá granting them bail is wrong according to the constitution. Torí pé arrest tí wọ́n arrest àwọn ẹni yìí the process was wrong from the beginning. Nǹkan tẹ́mi expect kí judge yẹn ṣe ó ní pé kó lóhun release wọn unconditionally kó dẹ̀ mandate DSS wípé these people must be released with immediate effect without any condition because the arrest was wrong at the beginning. In tó yẹ kó ṣẹlẹ̀ nìyẹn. But granting them bail tí kì í ṣe wípé bóyá DSS fún rẹ̀ ló gbé wọn wá kóòtù ló file court case. Èmi expect pé ṣé kí kóòtù kó instruct wọn ni kó instruct àwọn DSS pé with immediate effect release these people without any condition. Tí DSS bá ṣe wá file case against wọn lẹ́yìn tán ti délé wọn tán wá dé court ìgbà lèmi rò pọ̀ lọ́sẹ̀ wà lójútùú. But DSS ó dá wọn ó fi wọn sọ́dọ̀ ó arrest wọn wrongly. Wọ́n ti kọ́kọ́ violate fundamental human rights wọn. Àwọn gan ló yẹ kó sue DSS. 1 wípé wọ́n arrest àwọn wrongly. 2 for defamation of character because ó gbé títò ti gbọ́ pé wọ́n dáwọn ẹni ẹ̀dùn wọ́n ti bà ìjọ́mọ ènìyàn wọn jẹ́. For defamation of character ó di méjì ìbanilórúkọ jẹ́ náà ń pè bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta ni pé for violating their fundamental human rights. As a Nigerian ìran kan ò lágbára lórí ìran kan láti kò sí bó ṣe lè jẹ́ kó arrest èèyàn anyhow kó dẹ̀ fìyà jẹ tó bẹ́ẹ̀ àṣàtẹ̀ nísìn wọ́n ti lò more than 40 days láti on the 1st of July tó ti arrest wọn. Tí mi bá ṣì èní ni 14 as I think ẹ̀rọ 31 plus 14 ó di 45 days ago tó ti arrest àwọn ẹni tó ti detain wọn wrongly despite the fact pé court ti grant one bail. Although court náà to grant one bail the condition was too stringent but as at ẹni mo láyọ̀ láti sọ fún wa pé gbogbo the bail condition ni wọ́n ti meet. Ohun tó wá bí mi nínú ni wípé àwọn ẹni yìí nísìn wọ́n ti wá fix date tí wọ́n tún máa dá mẹ́rin padà. DSS has that guts to come out and file another case against 4 of them. 4 among them. Ẹni mẹ́rin nínú wọn ni DSS tún file case against. Detained file. Ẹ gbà wá láyè court ká detain ní wọn àwọn mẹ́rin yẹn lẹ́yìn tó ti grant one bail. For it to show us the kind of injustice that is in this country. Irú ìtẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn lójú tó lọ nílùú yìí tó wà nílùú yìí. Ìtẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn lójú of highest order ni. nítorí pé wọn ò lágbára, torí pé wọn ò léèyàn, torí pé ẹ̀yin lẹ wà nípò agbára. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí lẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wọn, kí lẹ̀ṣẹ̀ àwọn tẹ́ ń sọ yìí. Wọ́n láwọn mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin yẹn àwọn làwọn rí pé kéèsì wọn le jù lọ́dọ̀ yín. Ẹ ṣì investigate for almost 50 days now. Is it in the constitution of this country? Bá ṣe ní constitution country worst it o. There is nowhere it is written pé ká ẹ detain suspect more than 3 days for 42 hours àbí how many hours make 2 days. Oh no, 2 days péré náà ní kàn fi detain anybody that is a suspect. You detain these people more than 45 days now, and yet ẹ ti conclude the investigation yín lé wọn lórí. What are you investigating? What are DSS investigating? I don't know. So eléyìí máa fi hàn wá wípé these people are just melting injustice on these people. Gbogbo Yorùbá dẹ̀ ló kàn, gbogbo ọmọ Nàìjíríà ló kàn kó dìde lórí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí wípé no, the whole world ló yẹ kó dìde máa wẹ̀ ní pé this is injustice of highest order. Ẹ jẹ́ á gbàgbé ẹ̀sìn, ẹ jẹ́ á gbàgbé ẹ̀yà, ẹ jẹ́ ká gbàgbé kinní kan. In terms ni pé wọ́n play injustice, they are melting injustice on Nigerians, which is not to be. Torí pé ó lè kàn ẹ́ lọ́la, ó lè jẹ́wọ́ ló máa kàn lọ́la. All the legal practitioners should stand up and talk on this injustice. Ọmọ tí wọ́n ṣe gbọ́yé lawyers tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn máa dìde tó máa help Abba Kyari. Ọmọ ẹyọ kan nìyẹn o. Àìmọye criminals tó wà láàrin wọn bẹ́ẹ̀. Àìmọye criminals tó wà láàrin tàwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn máa ràdọ̀bò wọn ni. Ajá mọ ọmọ tiẹ̀ fún lọ́mú. Ó mọ ọmọ tèkùrú kì mọ́lẹ̀. So yẹ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ nílùú tó ní ọba tó níjòyè. Wọ́n ti fix date tí wọ́n tún máa dá àwọn mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin padà sí court. August 24. Tí mi bá ṣì. They are returning the 4 of them back to the court. August 24. Ni date tí wọ́n tún fix nísìn. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí lẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wọn? Kí ni wọ́n ṣe? Ṣáwọn mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin lẹ́lẹ́ bá bọ́n lé wọn ní. A kàn ń lo ìjọba tyrant. A kàn ń hùwà tyrant lórí ilẹ̀. A kàn ń hùwà ta ló fẹ́ mú mi. This is injustice of highest order. That's what I'm saying. It's not right. Ìtẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn lójúmọ́lẹ̀ ni tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí pátápátá. Kò sí nǹkan míì. These people have committed no any offense at the first instance. Ilé olóyè lẹ́lẹ̀ ti bábọn kì í ṣe ilé tiwọn. Àwọn tẹ́ ẹ kó yìí kò sí wọn lè sọ pẹ́ṣẹ̀ bá ilẹ̀ level against them. Àfi tó bá yẹ conspiracy wípé wọ́n conspire láti dàlúrú. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ìlú wo ni wọ́n dàrú? What have they done? They should give us, they should produce evidences tó fi hàn wá pé ara wọn ẹni ìgbà tán gbébọn fọ́tò wọn rè, fídíò tá rìkọ́dù rè. Èní nìyẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kejì ìgbà tá lọ lé yẹn, gbogbo ìbọn tá bá yẹn ibi tán sáyẹ̀nsì rè pa bá lọ́wọ́ wọn. Those are the things they supposed to do. If it is true they want to do justice. Ìbọn tá bá lọ́wọ́ wọn rè, àwọn náà ni wọ́n sáyìn signature wọn ni. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kejì ni pé àwọn mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin tá particulate about yìí. Àwọn ọgbọ́n àti ríye èèyàn tó pa, wọ́n pààyàn báyìí, wọ́n pààyàn báyìí, wọ́n pààyàn báyìí bí wọ́n pààyàn báyìí, wọ́n pa nǹkan báyìí. Yes. Ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹrin nípa àwọn tẹ́ ń wò yìí, wọ́n ti ṣe nǹkan báyìí, wọ́n ti ṣe nǹkan báyìí tó fi hàn wá wípé wọ́n rẹ́dì láti da Nàìjíríà rú. Ìgbà yẹn lẹ́ṣẹ̀ máa ní point. Even at that, the offence is bailable. Gbogbo condition ti judge yẹn fún àwọn Lady K àti àwọn méjìlá yẹn. Irú condition fún àwọn tó máa ń fún ẹni tó commit capital offence ni. Ṣùgbọ́n méjì ó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ level 14 l'Abuja. Ẹni mélòó ló jẹ́ level 14 tó jẹ́ ẹ̀yà Yorùbá l'Abuja yẹn? Ẹni mélòó ló jẹ́ level 14 tó jẹ́ ẹ̀yà Yorùbá tó wà l'Abuja? ọmọ Yorùbá mélòó náà jẹ́ kó dókè nínú federal civil service tó máa jẹ́ Àbújá ló wà, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní landed property, ó gbọ́dọ̀ ní kinní kan, ó gbọ́dọ̀ nígbà. Àní lẹ́yìn táwọn ẹni tún yọjú tán tí méjì méjì yẹn tún pé wọ́n tún sọ ń sìn pé àwọn gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sí ibi iṣẹ́ àwọn méjèèjì àwọn 24 yẹn, wọ́n láwọn gbọ́dọ̀ lọ sí ibi iṣẹ́ àwọn 24, àwọn tún máa lọ investigate, àwọn ọ̀gá wọn gbọ́dọ̀ sáyẹ̀nsì. Oh God. Ẹ má bínú nẹ́tíwọ̀kì yẹn ni. Nísìnyí wọ́n ní pé dandan àfi káwọn tún padà síbi iṣẹ́ àwọn ẹni yẹn káwọn lọ investigate. Ọmọ Yorùbá, ìwọ tó lágbára, ìwọ tó wà nípò, ó dẹ̀ rò pé nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí normal ṣá, ó rò pé nǹkan tó ń ṣe fún Yorùbá yìí ó dáa bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ̀dẹ̀ dákẹ́ ẹ̀dẹ̀ ń wò, tó bá rí bẹ́ẹ̀ délẹ̀ Ọlọ́run á bí yín o, gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà nípò tẹ́ ẹ jọmọ Yorùbá. Èmi ò sọ pé mi ò tún sọ pé kí o ní alágbára má lo agbára ẹ̀, but nǹkan tí mò ń sọ ni wípé they should use it justly. This is injustice of highest order. Torí pé ẹlẹ́ran ara lèmi náà, Yorùbá dẹ̀ ni mí, ọmọ Yorùbá ẹgbẹ́ mi ni wọ́n ṣe bọ́yé ṣe. Mi ì gbọ́rí nínú òfin, láì ṣe pé kóòtù ló rìmáìndì wọn, láì ṣe pé kóòtù ló fi wọ́n síbẹ̀, ẹ̀dẹ̀ hold àwọn èèyàn suspect lásán. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n kà fún wa ká lè mọ̀ pé kì í ṣọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ rárá. A federal high court in Abuja on Friday fixed August 24, 2021 for hearing in an application filed by the Department of the State Services, DSS, seeking remand of 4 aides of the Yoruba secessionist leader Sunday Igboho. The 4 aides are part of the 12 clamped into detention since July 2nd by DSS and granted bail by the court since Wednesday, August 4. Láti August 4 di August 14, àwọn ẹni ṣì wà detention. DSS prayed the court to set aside their August 4 bail to enable it to remand them in its custody, pending their arraignment during court vacation. The new application marked FHC Abuja CS/647/2021 was filed on August 9 at the Federal High Court in Abuja, although the court had on August 4 admitted them to bail with conditions yet to be perfected. The DSS in the fresh application is seeking to halt the bail execution. In the applications filed by its lawyer, Mr. Idowu Awo yìí ṣàfihàn wá pé Yorùbá ni. Ẹ̀rù ò dẹ̀ bá pẹ̀lú nǹkan tó ń ṣe yìí. Ó fọ́ ní o. Ó dà. The security agency is claiming that it has not completed its investigation into the level of involvement of the 4 detainees in the stockpiling of arms and ammunition allegedly found in Igboho's house. Security officers tí wọ́n wà competent, you are investigating more than 40-something days and yet you detained your suspect more than 48 hours. Going to 45 days ago now that you detain àwọn ẹni, yet and claim pé ẹ ti parí investigation lé wọn lórí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ dẹ̀ bẹ̀rù èèyàn, bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ̀rù ẹnìkan, ẹ̀ dẹ̀ bẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run. Ìtẹ́ ọmọ ènìyàn lójú tó ga ni tí wọ́n ṣe yìí. Ìtẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́ ọmọ ènìyàn lójú òun náà ni tí DSS ń ṣe yìí. The DSS subsequently praying Justice Obiora Igwatu to reverse himself in the bail granted 4 out of the 12 detainees and permit it to remand the 4 detainees for further interrogation. A hearing notice cited by Daily Post at the Federal High Court on Friday showed that Justice Igwatu has fixed August 24 for DSS to argue the application. Daily Post recalls that Justice Egwatu had on August 4 admitted the 12 applicants to various bail conditions while ruling in their applications. The judge hinged their bail on the fact that there was no criminal charge against them. Against the 12 applicants since their arrest and detention for over a month, contrary to the provisions of the law. The 4 detainees got bail in the sum of 10 million naira each, with 2 sureties in like sum, while the remaining 8 were granted bail in the sum of 5 million naira with 2 sureties each. Those admitted to 5 million bail are Abdulateef Onolapo, Tajudeen Erinioye, Diekola Jubril, Ayobami Donald, Uthman Adelabu, Olúwafẹ́mi Kúnlé, Raji Kozim àti Bámidélé Sunday. Olúwafẹ́mi yẹn mo rò pé Olúwakẹ́mi náà fẹ́ kọ torí Lady K ni mo rò pé ó jẹ́ yẹn. One of the sureties the court held must be an employee of the federal government, ẹ máa gbọ́ condition o, of the federal government on grade level 12 and above. Ọmọ Yorùbá mélòó ló jẹ́ grade level 12 tó wà l'Abuja, tó wà federal civil service, tó wà l'Abuja? Yorùbá mélòó? The sureties must be resident in Abuja, ó di méjì. They must have properties, ó di mẹ́ta, and swear to an oath of affidavit. Ọmọ Yorùbá mélòó ló jẹ́ level 12 tó ready, tó wà l'Abuja? Mélòó ló kọ́lé síbẹ̀? These people knows what they are doing. The sureties are also to submit all travel documents to the court. Justice Egwatu in addition held that the applicants should remain in the custody of the DSS pending the perfections of their bail. However, since the grant of the bail, detainees have not been able to meet some of the stringent aspects of the conditions. Among the conditions said to be hard not for them to crack is the production of federal government employees above grade level 12 and others with properties in Abuja with verified title documents, wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ ní CFO, and 3 years tax report. At the time of this report, Daily Post confirmed that all the 12 detainees are still in the custody of the DSS. Counsel to the detainees, Mr. Pelumi Olajengbesi, confirmed receipt of the August 24 hearing date for the DSS application. Gbogbo wa ti gbọ́. Níbi tó burú dé wọ́n fix date, wọ́n fix on the 24. Pé on the 24 ni wọ́n máa gbọ́ ẹjọ́ yẹn kí DSS wá argue reason tí wọ́n fi gbọ́dọ̀ jà bail àwọn mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin. I wouldn't blame Justice Egwatu, bóyá Egwatu dẹ̀ ni wọ́n jẹ́. My lord, I will never blame you. You've tried your best. Because mo mọ̀ pé lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí, you are sitting on hot seat. For you to have even pronounced their bail, for you to have even pronounced that you granted them bail, you've tried. Because I know you must be under stringent condition never to pronounce it. Yet you went ahead and still pronounced it. But sir, use your very good office. I know you are incorruptible judge. Use that your incorruptible office to do the needful and the rightful at the right time. Ẹ fi àwọn ẹni sílẹ̀ wọn ọ̀ṣẹ̀. Kò ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tí wọ́n ṣẹ̀ ti fìyà jẹ wọ́n tó. Gbogbo wọn lẹ ti sọ dárọ̀. Mélòó ló lè rìn dáadáa nu wọn mọ́ láìṣẹ̀ láìrò. Tí àwọn ọmọ ti yín, they are waxing stronger and stronger every day. In tó fọ́nì jù ni pé àwọn Boko Haram tó ti pa gbèjégbèjọ. Àwọn sọ pé àwọn repent. Wọ́n á dé accept wọn sí inú society. Wọ́n á grant wọn ní acceptance sí inú society tí wọ́n ti pa ìmọ́yé. mò ń bọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká fún wa. Boko Haram top commander surrendered, asked Nigeria for forgiveness. The Nigerian army says top Boko Haram commanders have surrendered to its troops in Operation Andin Kai. The army said over 100 Boko Haram fighters with their families surrendered to the troops. Onyema Uwachuku, army spokesperson, in a statement shared alongside photos of the Boko Haram commanders, and said Musa Adamu, a chief bomb expert for the insurgent, was one of those surrendered. Following the recent escalations of offensive operations coupled with non-kinetic effort by troops of operations and the Kai, which yielded massive surrender of Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa province, ISWAP, terrorists in the northeast. The chief bomb expert of the terrorist group, known as Musa Adamu, also known as Malam Musa Abuja, and his second in command, Usman Adamu, also known as Abu Darda, along with their families and followers, have also finally surrendered to the troops of operations and the Kai in Bama local government area of Borno State. The statement reads, the acting general officer commanding GOC 7th Division and Commander Sector 1 OPHK, Brigadier General Abdulwahab Adelokun Eyitayo, was at Headquarters 21 Special Armored Brigade, Bama, on Saturday, 7th of August 2021, to receive the set of the surrender Boko Haram. To receive them, Boko Haram terrorists and their family. During the visit, the GOC said their decision to drop their arms and come out is highly commendable. Their decision to drop their arms and come out is very highly commendable. Adding that should also try and talk to their brothers and colleagues in the forest to come out and embrace the new life of peace and rehabilitation. General Itayo, who spoke through an interpreter, further disclosed that they will undergo some rehabilitation process at a government facilities before integration into the larger society, while distributing new clothes and assorted foods items, groceries and toiletries to the surrendered terrorists and their families, totaling 335 fighters, 746 adult women and children, including one of the abducted Chibok girls. It was observed that the reasons for such massive turn was basically due to the intensified Nigerian military campaign on their enclaves and environs, and also with the overwhelming famine, discontent, internal skirmishes, health challenges, as well as untold hardship. The Nigerian military has resolved to intensify its both kinetic and non-kinetic approach toward the ongoing fight against insurgents in order to bí mo ṣe ka kíní inú mi ń ru. If Nigeria could forgive these people, àwọn tí wọ́n ti pa gbèjègbèjọ, if Nigeria could accept them back to the society, if Nigeria could even give them food, toiletries, and other sort of things to enjoy their life, after killing many people, after collecting many lives, after denying many lives their existence in this world, yet Nigeria forgive them. Àwọn méjìlá tẹ́ wá mú láìṣẹ̀ láìrò, ẹ sọ ẹnìkan péré táwọn ẹni pa, tẹ́ confirm pé àwọn Lady K ló pa àwọn ẹni, àbí Igboho ló pa. Nobody you can point out to. Ẹ sọ ilé kan táwọn ẹni lọ destroy nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àbí ní gbogbo Nàìjíríà ṣe o. Kẹ́ sọ pé Igboho pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ ẹ̀ ni wọ́n dáná sun léyìí. Àwọn Boko Haram tẹ́ foríjì yìí, they've killed a lot of Nigerians, they've burnt a lot of houses, they've destroyed many lives. yet you forgive them. Intawan sọ́nsìn ni wípé ọmọ Fúlàní àtọmọ Haúsá nìkan ló free ní Nàìjíríà láti ṣe tó wọ́n. Bẹ̀tẹ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá ṣe anything ẹ máa gbé. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá tẹ́ ń wò mí, ẹ̀yin náà ẹ decide tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí láàrin ara yín. Ẹ decide nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí láàrin ara yín. Ẹ̀yin náà ẹ gbèrò ẹ rò lẹ́mìí ara yín tó bá correct, tó bá jẹ́ pé bó ṣe yẹ kó rí rèé. Màá fi fídíò kan hàn wá sìn. Television station kan pe ẹnìkan wá pé kó wá sọ̀rọ̀ lórí àwọn ẹni tán detain tí wọ́n release yìí. Lórí àwọn ISWAP àti Boko Haram tán láwọn àwọn ti repent. Ara wọn ni o. Hausa lẹ́ni náà. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ nǹkan tẹ́niyẹn sọ.
Nigerian army says two top Boko Haram commanders have surrendered to its troops. The army says the recent escalation of offensive operations and non-kinetic efforts by troops are yielding results, which it says have forced about 1,000 insurgents to surrender. 1,000 Boko Haram fighters to surrender with some of their families. This is reported to have happened. Musa Adamu, a chief bomb expert for the insurgents, is one of those who surrendered.
Now, of what significance is the surrendering of the insurgents to efforts by the Nigerian government to conquer the insurgents who, for over a decade, have been waging terror on the country? Well, I've been joined by Group Captain Sadiq Shehu, a security expert who is in our Abuja studios and is joining us right now on Newsday. I want to say thank you very much, retired Captain Sadiq Shehu. Let's start it off from this conquest. How would you rate the military's efforts in bringing over 1,000 of them, with the talks that the military hasn't really stepped up to the plate when it comes to the fight against insurgency?
Okay. When you talk, we have to first of all maybe look at what is the meaning of counterinsurgency in the technical sense of the word. Counterinsurgency is the sum of military, diplomatic, legal, economic, and any kind, even developmental efforts to counter insurgencies. So it will not even right from beginning. It is not fair to even think it's only military action that can, or only military are involved in counterinsurgency. Is the sum total, and the result we are seeing. Whereas a lot of the credit will go to the tempo of operation that is ongoing in the Northeast for this spate of surrendering, desertions, defections we are seeing. But of course, there are other non-kinetic means, because at the background, you have what is called the Sulhu project. There's an element of it that is called Sulhu. So it is like the proverbial using of the carrot and the stick. The military has to put enough pressure. The military have to corner Boko Haram for them to look at alternative measures. Can we continue this fight or not? But altogether, what we are seeing is a combination of different kinetic and non-kinetic efforts that is yielding results. And we are seeing, numbers of Boko Harams giving up. And what is very important, not only in these numbers, like I heard you saying at the back, is that it's not even only foot soldiers, lowly foot soldiers that are coming out. We are having, senior members, leaders of the Boko Haram that are coming out. So what I would say is that what is happening, many experts have made studies on insurgencies. There are people who have dedicated themselves. There are think tanks that have done studies over many insurgencies, over 50 of them. How do they end? And what they came to find out is that for any insurgency, there's what is called a tipping point. We don't know what the tipping point is, but there are certain indicators that will tell you that an insurgency is coming at a tipping point. And what's the tipping point? It's a point at which some dramatic changes that have relations with either the continuation or the stopping of that insurgency will emerge. Now, one of the factors that's agreed by all experts as a sign of a tipping point of an insurgency is defection, surrendering, and desertions. There's a difference between desertion and defection. When you say defection, you are saying a fighter from one side has joined one side. That is not what we're having there. When you say desertion, it's people just dropping their weapon and saying, I'm no longer doing, I'm working. And there are those numbers. But what we have in the Northeast are people surrendering to the armed forces. So there are many factors that will make this surrendering there. Of course, the operational pressure, the blockade, on the logistic and supply chain of the insurgents, and the fact that even the local populations, their cooperation with government security forces by passing information, all these are issues that will put pressure on any Boko Haram to see whether is it worth it to continue this fight or not.
Okay, Captain Sadiq, we don't mean to count our chickens, but we're happy if this is indeed indicative of a tipping point. But some might still want to ask, whilst congratulating the Nigerian army and, of course, celebrating this victory, what do you think, you as a security expert, what do you think has led to this particular surrender? And are we now looking at a return to amnesty, rehabilitating Boko Haram terrorists?
First, let me make myself clear. I am not saying that we should shout Uhuru, but definitely we are saying indicators that international experts have agreed that when you start seeing this, you have the hope that the insurgency is turning a corner for the better. Now, apart from the other factors I said, we also have to say the time factor. Time factor is always in favor of government forces rather than the insurgents. We have to remember what Boko Haram wanted was to establish an Islamic caliphate. It is very clear to them now that they cannot have that. And the longer the fight goes, the more the advantage turns to government. Experts, again, are unanimous in studies that they carried out that the median length of any insurgency is 10 years. Mind you, I'm not saying that every insurgency will end after 10 years. But for survivability, 10 years is the median that most insurgencies, immediately after that, they start crumbling. However, there's a caveat. If an insurgency survives into the second 10 years and move into the third years, then the advantage now is with the insurgency rather than with the government. Having said that, I come back to the issue of amnesty. A lot of debate is being done about whether amnesty is required, whether it is not required. I want people that are engaging in this debate to understand that what is happening in the Northeast, since from the day that former President Jonathan declared a war, even the International Criminal Court, that is the date that is taken. From that date, Nigeria is automatically at war. It is a war situation. What kind of war? Non-international armed conflict. Once you have an armed conflict, in other words, war, that is in the common language, once you have that war, the law that applies is the law of armed conflict. Some people call it law of war. Some people call it Geneva Conventions. Some people call it international humanitarian law. It is all one and the same thing. And we have to know that Nigeria, in fact, one of the first conventions that Nigeria acceded to on gaining independence in 1960 is the Geneva Conventions. So when you have a war, as opposed, because I'm also coming to the comparison that people are saying, why amnesty for Boko Haram? Why not amnesty for IPOB? Why not amnesty? This is comparing, apples with oranges. In the Northeast, there is a war declared since during the time of President Jonathan. When you have a war, the law that applies is law of armed conflict. And what does the law of armed conflict say?
Some would say that,
yes, please,
especially the families that have been ravaged and devastated by this terrorists, as well as some would like to call them, some of them will not be happy hearing that after all the mayhem they've caused, they're just being given almost a free pass. How do you explain this to those families that have been deeply affected?
That is a very valid observation. Anybody, even if it is me, if I lost somebody through Boko Haram, I will feel bad. But I think the debate is being clouded by misconception about what the law says. I do not read the law as saying it's an automatic amnesty. That is not what the law of armed conflict says. What the law of conflict understands is that for a non-international conflict, is a citizen who is breaking the law, who is fighting against his country. So ab initio, you have to know that once you capture somebody, once you injure somebody, once somebody surrenders, as a professional military, you cannot turn ahead and shoot that person. Once you capture him, what the law of armed conflict said is that you should take that person, take care of him, and then investigate. This is the aspect that people always want to, exclude from the debate. You investigate with the, with the aim of finding out what is the level of involvement of each individual that surrendered or that was caught, what is level of involvement? There are levels of involvement. All of us are aware of the Chibok girls. We had some of them were indoctrinated, and later they said they have joined Boko Haram. Now, if you are the person in charge, a Chibok girl that was captured, impregnated, indoctrinated and joined Boko Haram, would you shoot her? You would not. There are children whose parents were caught, maybe at 5 years and 6 years. They were taken into the bush for nothing, for having no any other alternative. They joined Boko Haram. Are you going to kill them? On the other hand, you have the big fishes, the leaders, the trainers, the people who even form the Boko Haram. This is a different kettle of fish. This is what I mean by level of involvement. So what the law says is that you take these people who surrender, you investigate them to determine their level of involvement. Anybody that is found to have blood on his hands, what international law call grievous crimes, anybody who has committed grievous crimes does not qualify for amnesty. It's people that have low level of involvement, people that were kidnapped against their will and pressed into Boko Haram, like the Chibok girls. Whatever happens to them, these are the people that international law says you should consider for amnesty. It is not a blanket amnesty.
Okay, Captain Sadiq.
I want people to understand that. Yeah. Now, yes.
What you're saying on the face of it sounds reasonable. It's just, I think the problem you may have is convincing people that the government is dealing with an even hand. But anyway, briefly, can you give us a sense of how we're going to capitalize on this surrender? If you were in charge, how would you capitalize on this victory?
Good. Like I cautioned against early celebration, but again, I admit surrendering, desertion is a sign of a tipping point for the Boko Haram, but it's not yet Uhuru. It is like a boxer with his opponent. If you injure him on the left eye, the point, if you are a good boxer, it means you should concentrate on that left eye. So we should not lift our legs, on the pedals. The embargo, the blockade, the sustained military operation, as well as other non-kinetic measures like the Sulhu, which again I learned the federal government and the Borno state government are doing a lot. You have to combine both the kinetic and the non-kinetic. You have to include. You have to continue arming our security forces. You have to continue increasing the numbers. You don't leave your foot off the pedal.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. I want to say thank you for joining us on Newsday. I will keep the
definitely òun náà support pé kí wọ́n gbà wọ́n padà sí society. Inú wọn dùn bó ṣe padà sí society yẹn. Aláwọn àmì ní kán lọ bá wọn bí àwọn ẹgbẹ́ wọn tó kù. Kán surrender, kán máa wá lògbèsè ayé tuntun. Well-known terrorist, confirmed terrorist. Yorùbá tó ń wò mí. Tó ra burú lórí n tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí, wọ́n ló dẹ̀ ronú ara ẹ̀ wò. Ẹ̀yin Yorùbá lawyers tẹ́ wo fídíò yìí. Tó bá jẹ́ pé bó ṣe yẹ kó rí ní ẹ dá lọ́wọ́ ara yín. Àwọn fi ọwọ́ bọ ọmọ tí wọ́n mọ́lẹ̀. Ajá mọ́mọ́ tí ẹ̀ fún lọ́mú ọmọ tẹ̀kùrú kí mọ́lẹ̀. Bí ìrántí iye lawyers tó dìde mọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ kí náà pọkùnrin Abba Kyari tí wọ́n láwọn máa support ẹ̀, àwọn máa dúró tì torí pé wọ́n jẹjọ́ ọmọ ọ̀ràn kan náà. Àwa Yorùbá làwọn ò nífẹ̀ẹ́ ara wa, àwa Yorùbá ló jẹ́ pé a máa tako ara wa nínú bá ṣe ń sọ àṣírí àwọn tó ṣépè fún Ìgbòho tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn tó lọ yẹn ò ní dá ọmọ méjì láì wọ́n máa kú sọ́hùn. Wọ́n sọ fún mi, mo fetí mi gbọ́ ni. Ẹ wo báwọn ṣe ń support ara wọn. Ṣé bó ṣe yẹ kó rí nìyẹn? In tó ń pè ní injustice of highest order. Ó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílùú yìí, gbogbo adé ń wò ó. Ìkọ́ṣẹlẹ̀ sí Apostle Sulaiman láìpẹ́ yìí. Apostle yìí sọ pé àwọn ọmọ ọjọ́un màláíkà ló ó ń credit account wọn. Ẹnìkan wá sọ pé kò possible. Ẹni yóò sọ ju kò possible lọ o. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣáàjẹ́ ní sí court. Wọ́n fi ọlọ́pàá arrest ẹni. Ọlọ́pàá invite ẹ̀ kì í ṣe pé arrest. Ọlọ́pàá invite ẹni yẹn. Ọlọ́pàá invite ẹ̀ pé kó wá sí Abuja. Ẹni yẹn dẹ̀ fly wá láti state tó wà. Ó dẹ̀ fly lọ sí Abuja. ní police station tán ti invite ẹ̀ bóyá ló jẹ́ police headquarter. Ó débẹ̀ tán wọ́n kọ gbogbo statement ó lọ pẹ̀lú lọ́ọ̀yà ẹ̀ kò dá lọ. Ṣé believe pé wọ́n detain ẹni unjustly ara kan ṣo tá à ń sọ náà rí. Wọ́n detain ẹni unjustly lọ́ọ̀yà ẹ̀ wá wò pé kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Mò ń bọ̀ gbogbo àlàyé yẹn ayé yín sínú fídíò tẹ́ fẹ́ wò.
We came in this morning. I flew into Abuja this morning. Israel had flown in yesterday to honor the invitation extended to him by the Nigerian police, the Force Criminal Intelligence and Investigation Department, pursuant to a petition filed by Apostle Johnson Suleiman, who is the founder of the Omega Fire Ministries. Now I came in with my clients, and I said we got in here past 10. If you look at the time, this is some minutes past 7. So cumulatively, we have spent over 7 hours, over 8 hours, 8 hours plus. 8 hours plus, just to respond to a petition over what I consider to be a very funny allegation made by Suleiman, because he had alleged that he commanded angels to send miracle alerts or miracle money to some persons in Auchi in Edo State, and of course Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. My client Israel came out, disavowed, debunked, and of course challenged the credibility and the veracity of those claims, which for us remains outlandish, remains false, irresponsible, and incapable of being proved, clearly unsubstantiated. So we came here. It took even several hours for the police to take a statement. There were a lot of arguments, back and forth, altercations at some point, and instances where I felt these had gone beyond voluntary statement. This was about trying to force somebody to implicate himself. Of course, we refused to be intimidated. So that also led to a series of things that I may not want to say here. Now, after all said and done, we met with the ACP, Assistant Commissioner of Police, YY Abubakar, who had signed the invitation letter. And he expressed his opinion about the case, which I disagree with, but I respect his opinion, because as I said, that is his opinion. Whether Israel has committed an offense or not will be for the court to determine. Interestingly, I also met the lawyer, a learned friend, who is the lawyer to Apostle Suleiman. He also came around today, and he engaged me in a conversation. I don't want to disclose the details. After we had finished all that marathon hours of discussion, I had expected that the police, given that Israel came voluntarily, will release him and ask him to come back, because he honored the invitation. If you are inviting somebody for purpose of interrogation, the moment you say you cannot go except you produce a shorty, what that implies in law is that you have converted the police invitation to arrest. The moment a suspect can no longer live at his own will, by his own volition, that is no longer within the realm of invitation. That is now an arrest. So the implication is that Israel Balogun has been arrested by the police. He's currently in their cell. He's not coming out, obviously, tonight because of what looks like very stringent and difficult bail conditions. They requested for 2 shorties. They said one has to be a level 14 civil servant who should present either his letter of last promotion or a letter of introduction. Of course, we brought a level 13 and we appealed to them, and they agreed to take the person. But somehow, because of the time, we couldn't get the original copy of his letter of last promotion. But we presented the photocopy, and even his ID card, he was willing to drop them, a federal civil servant. But they insisted again that he must also, in addition to letter of last promotion, present his ID card and also present letter of introduction, which are clearly outside the bail form that my clients fill. Again, there was also a requirement that there should be a second shorty who should be a business person and have either certificate of occupancy, C of O, or certificate of incorporation of a company. We brought a retired civil servant with certificate of occupancy. With even original copy, the police refused to release this well, insisting that they must produce a civil servant. What is the offense? They're talking about defamation. They're talking about alleged cyber stalking. I don't believe those are matters that should warrant such stringent conditions that are peculiar to capital offenses like murder, kidnapping, terrorism, and so on. So for me, this is just, again, an attempt by somebody who feels he has money, somebody who feels he has power, to press a Nigerian that he feels is vulnerable. But our message to Apostle Suleiman is clear and simple. We are not going to back down. We are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to allow you to put us in a situation that will make you continue to harass other citizens. So we will come back tomorrow hoping that the police will release him, hoping that those conditions will be reconsidered or alternatively met. But for the purpose of today, this is where we are. Israel is in custody. And we hope that the police as an institution will also think about the dent, the damage that this singular case will do to the police as an institution and to Nigeria as a country. Because what can be more scandalous? What can be more embarrassing to a country than for a citizen to be detained because he said that angels cannot send money to people's accounts? Simple. So the angels, I came to the police station, I have not seen any of the angels.
No angels.
I haven't seen any of those who received the alert. We are still waiting for the angels to show up.
Yes.
Because Suleiman must produce those angels.
Yes.
On no account will we relinquish on that demand.
Yes.
He has to produce those angels. Those persons will come. We will subpoena their banks to see their statements so that we will know from which bank of heaven these monies came from. This is the kind of madness that we see in this country. And because impunity has taken over the fabric of Nigeria, people like Suleiman continue to use the police to hunt private citizens. Nobody will be intimidated. Nobody will be coerced into silence.
Yes.
So let the Inspector General of Police save the Nigerian police from this embarrassment. Save the country from this scandal. And stop this macabre dance, this scandal that is going on in the name of investigation. That is all the comments I can make for now. And lastly, we have told them we are not afraid of going to court. It will be very good for Suleiman to enter the witness box, for his angels to testify on his behalf.
Yes.
Nigerians have not seen angels before. I believe this is a good opportunity for us to see and know what angels look like, because he has to produce them. Again, I have also made the point earlier that, look, the country is almost at the point of recession. The government can barely fund. Nigeria is borrowing from China. Suleiman has this grace of commanding angels to send money. Why not help the country?
Thank you.
Call these angels to send money to the Federation account or the Treasury single account to help the country out of the economic and financial crisis that it is going through. If you have this capacity to command angels to deposit money in the account of people who claim to be your members, also help the country. So the president should send the Minister of Finance to lead a delegation to meet Suleiman for him to call his angels to send money to help the country. I believe that will be in the interest of, until he does that, we are waiting for him to have his day in court. Because for me, it is not Israel Balogun who will be on trial. It is Apostle Suleiman and every clergy or pastor in this country that has abused the trust of the Nigerian people that will be on trial. Yes. It is Suleiman who will answer for his statements and comments. It is Suleiman who will have the burden and the onus of proof of substantiating the allegations that he made. They can show their power at the police station, but we will have solace in the court. But we are still calling on the police to do what is right. Because you cannot be saying you are a law enforcement agency and yet you are allowing the law to be violated in the name of protecting a big man.
Yóò gbọ́ kankan sófà lórí kéèsì yẹn mọ́. Oríṣiríṣiríṣi tó lọ nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà rẹ̀. Sport ministry àwọn náà ni wọ́n lead. Àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n kó lọ sí Olympic àwọn ọmọ yẹn ń ké lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí ni. Mo sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn wẹ́rẹ́ ní fídíò tí mo release lánàá. Unfortunately mi fi fídíò yẹn sí. But mo fẹ́ ká padà wo fídíò yẹn lénìí. Kẹ́ẹ̀fẹ́ tí ara yín gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu ọmọ tó kó lọ sí Olympic àwọn ọmọ lọ́mọ. Bí wọn ò ṣe fún wọn lówó látijọ́ tán ti wà ní national camp. Bọ́n ṣe dáhùn tí wọ́n jẹ àwọn allowances wọn mọ́lẹ̀. Ta ló fẹ́ bí wọn? kóòtù wo náà fẹ́ gbé wọn lọ táwọn ọmọ yẹn bá sùn wọ́n sì àwọn ọmọ yẹn kàn náwó dànù wọn kàn waste owó wọn ni kò sẹ́nibọ̀dì tó fẹ́ bi wọ́n léèrè because àwọn èèyàn wọn ni. For us to know the level of injustice tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nílùú yìí tá a wà yìí mò ń bọ̀.
There's no encouragement from anybody. We have really tried on our own to push ourselves up to these limits we are, and there's no kind of like no assistance from anybody, not even for the federation. Like last one we heard from someone was telling us that they gave us a favor to travel down here. They gave us a favor to travel down here.
Like we are here to play.
We are just here to play. They gave us a favor just for us to come here and just run, and there is a favor they have given to us to travel out. So you kind of like you hear that you can even just give up in athletics. You can just give up and go and get something else to do. Something else to do. And we are not being catered for since we have been here. I've been in camp since last year September. Up to this moment, I've not been given anyone error, and up to now, I've not still been paid anything. And there's no even hope of paying anything. There's no hope of really getting anything. When we talk, they'll say we don't need money, that we are juniors, that we don't need the money. Meanwhile, we have people, most of us here, we are the ones cutting for ourselves. We are the ones seeing ourselves through school. So how are we going to do this? This is what we do. This is what we do. And I believe since we do this, we give all our effort, all our time. I believe when it comes to, in terms of financially, we don't really have to have problem with that. We don't really have to have any problem with that. So I believe, to me, I don't care what anybody can say, that's the best motivation I believe we can get right now. That's the best motivation.
Ṣé ti gbọ́ bó ṣe ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nìyẹn Nàìjíríà ọ̀dọ̀ ẹni téèyàn ò lè mú Ọlọ́run ní ká fi fún àsìkò tí tó lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run ni tásìkò bá tó mo mọ̀ pé Ọlọ́run á gbèjà wa ó dá mi lójú pé Ọlọ́run á gbèjà wa ńgbà tásìkò bá tó àsìkò tí tó ni kì í ṣe tán ni gbogbo ariwo tá à ń pààyàn ò tí dọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ ni tó bá ṣe tán láti dọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ sìn nobody tó lè dá dúró Abacha nǹkan where is it today 6 feet ló wà ó ní list àwọn tó kọ pé òun máa pa tílẹ̀ bá mọ́ bá òun ṣọlọ́ wá jẹ́ kílẹ̀ yẹn mọ́ bá mo máa ń sọ gbogbo ìgbà pé tí wọ́n bá níkùn kò ṣèkà tó o bá rántí ikú Gáà kó o ṣòtítọ́ there is nobody tó jẹ́ pé ó máa live forever nílé ayé gbogbo wa náà la máa kú tá ló máa fèsì Ọlọ́run ẹlẹ́dàá wa gbogbo la máa kú tá máa wọ sàárè téèyàn bá wá rántí sàárè tó rántí ikú ẹ sọ fún kó ṣe déédéé téèyàn bá rántí sàárè tó rántí pé òun máa kú láyé ìjọ kan ẹ sọ fún pé kó ṣòdodo láì jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ ewu gbẹ lóko àlóńgẹ ò fẹ́ni tó ń ṣaburú àlóńgẹ fúnra ẹ̀gan ewu bẹ lóko àlóńgẹ fúnra rẹ̀ gan ewu pé Ọlọ́run wà ó dẹ́nìkan tí ó lè mú irọ́ ni kò tẹni tó kò sẹ́nikẹ́ni tọ́lọ́run dá tí ó lè